Hi everyone, Lexley Gray here. Welcome back to episode 14 for the Shadows of Darkain. We left off in a really interesting predicament. Our team has suffered one loss and they got split up. Loss meaning that Clovis is MIA. He's not dead per se, he's just, we don't know where he is. He has been corrupted by the Book of Decay, and he threw us for a curveball, and he vanished. Now we're being hunted by the Royal Guard for the supposed alleged murder of Captain Hetherian. Both Ellis and Jules are hiding out in former Captain Waverly's house, to his much confusion. Red is got sidetracked, or he got split up from the group, and is now hiding in the alleyway and potentially is running into that old cat again. So, before we begin, I will be using, once again, the Oracle cards, the Game Master's Apprentice deck, and the actual, and just various Oracle cards. These have been actually pretty good. And Oracle-wise, as far as yes or no, I'll be using my traditional TD6 method. So, that's it for the mechanics. Now, the rules. Since my last video, I introduced the fact that I'll be using my own one-page RPG called RPG LITE. I've made some fixes to them since the last video. Main changes include attack and armor are just that. They're not attack die, armor die. They're just based on the equipped weapon die and armor die. Spell list has been fixed. Let's see, threats. I now call the combat threats. Attack and defend is the sum of combat. We'll get to that in a second. Ambushing threat levels. So an enemy is based on their die type. Alternatives are other moves, basically, like move, use an item, dash, etc. Spellcasting, healing, and the rest is the same. So there's a little snapshot. If you want to pause it and take a little picture of it, that's my current status, my current stat of the rules. I'll keep this close by once we need it. So now we have to figure out what happens to both separate parties. I'm more interested in Red at the moment. It's intriguing what Captain Waverly is going to think, seeing what has happened, but knowing that our path has been interrupted, we are now on the run. So we're on the run, prove innocence. We already took care of that moving marker. That was a ploy. That was a fake lead. That didn't go anywhere. Well, eventually. Search for the lore. Has connections. Stop Commander Fisk. Why did he kill the captain? Supposedly. That's our current path we need to take. So we still got to investigate the strange dungeon beneath the castle. We need to search for lore and its connection to Darkain. We're on the run, prove innocence. And then stop Commander Fisk. Why did he kill the captain? That's our current predicament. Okay, let's begin. So, Red is in the alleyway. And let's roll the dice to see if the cat is still present. There's that strange red cat that has been kind of popping up a couple times. Actually popped up once. Now this is the second time. Actually, this is the third time. If he does pop up. I think it's likely. Yep, he is indeed, the cat is there. So, which means this red cat is not just some ordinary cat. Let's pull the die, or I'm sorry, let's pull a oracle card and see what it is, or pull a tarot card. A joker, or a jester. I see it as a joker. No, I ignore the text, FYI. I don't gain 10,000 experience. That'll be crazy. I see it as an imposter, just judging by the appearance. So we'll put that back in the deck. FYI, the character sheets have been adjusted for my own rules now, so you might see some changes. Overall, it's convenient to be using Mazerats still, the character sheet itself. The cat suddenly, while Red is looking at the cat, kind of surprised it's still there, and also curious, at the same time keeping an eye out for the guards, the royal guards. That's another thing. What happened to the city guard? Because right now it's the royal guard. Like, where are they to be displayed? We don't know where the city guard is. They're not around. I don't think. Let's ask the oracle. Is the city guard still around? I think it's unlikely. They are. Okay, so that is a yes, even with the advantage of no. They are around, but they're not in the immediate area because of how close it was. Interesting. So the cat suddenly shapeshifts into something else. I think this cat is indeed a shapeshifting creature of sorts, which explains why it's been such a wanted. Why Captain Hetherian wanted it is because somehow he knew it was a shapeshifter. So while Red looks at it, it turns to a solid red glow. A light is a very, very bright light illuminates the alley, and then the light dissipates, and then now it's the shape of a phoenix. It is the red phoenix from the Maiden's Claw, and it is kind of just walking around, but still looking at Red for some reason. It seems this bird, this creature, the shapeshifter, has some level of intelligence and recognizes Red for some reason. As it looks around, it's looking at Red. It's like it walks up to Red and looks at him strangely. Red doesn't know Red doesn't know what to do. So Red kneels down and slowly puts his hand up to the bird, to the phoenix. The phoenix, I'd say, welcomes the pet. Doesn't see Red as a threat. So, which I actually just realized the connection here. Red Phoenix and Red. I completely missed that. It's just that's a sore thumb. But anyways, Red pets the bird, or pets Phoenix. The Phoenix starts to welcome it, kind of moves its head around, like kind of like a cat, but it welcomes the pet. And moments later, we hear footsteps. Red turns around, hides behind a crate. There's footsteps, several of them. Red hides behind a crate. The bird flies away. And Red looks up, seeing it fly away, kind of it not really sure what to make of the situation. But it flies off. Now, these footsteps, do they belong to the Royal Guard? They don't. Okay, so now we're looking at these footsteps are either walking. Are the footsteps walking? They're not. They are briskly, they're jogging. Because the 3 and a 5, the difference between it, the degree of success. I think it's the city guard. I really do, because they haven't been around in a while. It makes sense. The city guard runs by, and they're muttering something. They're speaking something. They're not going to the alleyway. They're running by the alleyway. There's probably like three of them. They run by, talking, and they say, well, they're speaking something. Let's roll. Let's do our first action for my game. And this will be a willpower related roll because we're trying to have Red eavesdrop, listen in what they're saying as they run by. So this is going to be +1 on the roll. Ooh, not bad at all. That's 11 total. So he's able to tell what they're saying, and he hears them speaking of the team, the four. They're looking for the four. Now, that's all he says. He hears them run by. He says, we have to look for the four quickly. Can Red tell if these guards are looking to capture the four, or I think aid them? Here's why. The Royal Guard so far has been a different division, a different faction in Riverport. They're at the control and mercy of Commander Fisk. I think the City Guard, they are a lower level protection or a operating faction in the city. They don't necessarily have a connection to the Royal Guard. The City Guard do work under the Lord Balthazar, but they work in their own domain, if that makes sense. They operate in the city streets, while the Royal Guard strictly operates in the capital. However, now that the four are temporarily disbanded and on the run, the Royal Guard has spread and are now operating in the streets, which perhaps push the City Guard out of authority, and they are running disorganized, etc. So I think Red is thinking that the City Guard might not be the enemies here. So Red pokes out of the crate, and he looks in the direction the guards ran, and he sees three of them running. And they look like they're running pretty fast. They're not jogging anymore. Now he looks around. Does he see anyone else? Let's see. That I don't think that's going to be just a simple. Let's do 50-50. Does he see anyone else? He doesn't. The area is pretty clear. I believe the area has been blocked off by the Royal Guard, and so merchants, citizens, passerby, travelers cannot pass through the central city. Hasn't been evacuated. I think it's just been closed off. So there's no one around the market. And I think Red is going to run after the guards. Okay, so as he runs, this is session 14, continued. I should say, I'm going to start saying episode 14 to remain in line of my video counts on YouTube. So, Red follows. I don't think he's going to run after. I think he's going to follows the City Guard. He's remaining to the side. And let's roll to see if he can follow without being spotted. He's probably going to proceed on, trying to stay on the side of the main cobblestone path, hiding behind doorways, alleyways, crates, abandoned wagons, etc. The city is very vacant at the moment. So let's do an action roll. I think he's going to try to perhaps follow them for about 2 to 3 blocks. And this will be dexterity. That's a 4 with the +2. 5, 6. I'm sorry, 5, 6, 7. So he's barely able to, but I'm going to say that the guards, not the guards, someone spots him. So, after a few blocks, he sees the guards, the city guard, talking let's say, talking to a group. Perhaps they're talking to another group of city guards. Okay, talking with three others. So now there's 6 city guards. And they look like they're kind of doing a search party. So Red is concerned, but he's theorizing. His theory right now, what he's running on, literally, is that they are not the enemy. However, the complication with the roll, with the 7 total, is that someone sees him. I'm going to say there is a civilian in a doorway looking around in front of their house that sees Red. Let's see what the civilian's reaction is. Throne. Interesting. I think this high and mighty. I believe this citizen, the civilian who spots Red, is thinking that he knows that the 4 have been posted. There's a reward for their capture. So let me put that in there. Reward for the 4's capture. And so he sees that. Red stops in his tracks. And shakes his head, please don't. The civilian shouts to the city guard, Guards! Guards! I found him! One of the 4! The rogue over here! And he shouts, points to Red. The guards turn around. Guards turn to Red and shout at Red. While Red turns around and attempts to flee, the guard says, wait, no, don't run. So I'm going to not roll this part because I have an idea here. So the guards shout to Red, no, wait, don't run. Or they shout. Red stops. Well, what would Red do here? I think based on what they just shouted, I think if they were truly after Red, they would say, you, stop right there! Instead, they say, wait, no, don't run. It's more of a friendlier tone. So Red stops, then turns to the guard. The guards walk up to Red. They put their weapons away. The civilian is confused. The guard whispers to Red, you have to follow us immediately before the royal guard arrives. And Red nods his head, and then we're going to follow them. So, Red follows the city guard. They take us to a very secluded, kind of hole-in-the-wall doorway. It's a bar, like a tavern. It's like a very, very small tavern. We enter this small tavern. So let's say it's to a small, I think tavern's fine. I'm trying to think of another lingo to use. Let's look at Maze Rats. Maze Rats is still excellent with all the tables. So the city, we have lower class buildings. I'm going to say a shrine. Yeah, it's a shrine. So takes us to a shrine. A small shrine, like in an alley. We enter. A Red enters. There are dozens of guards sitting around, kind of cleaning their weapons, chit-chatting, kind of just going about their business. And they all look and notice Red. The guards are wondering. One of them asks, "Where are your friends? The Royal Guard are looking for them. They're in danger." Red, and now let's see, how does Red talk? Red whispers. He's nervous. He looks down and says, "Yes, I'm all aware. We were chased out by the Royal Guard. We were set up. We heard that the captain was killed, but that wasn't us. My friends, one of which has been possessed by some demonic book, and the other two, I don't precisely know where they went." So the guard are sympathizing with Red at the moment. They said, "Yes, we heard of our captain's death. We know for a fact it wasn't you four. That you, the others, wouldn't do such a thing. We believe you. You can count on that. We're trying to figure out ourselves what is going on. The Royal Guards have pushed us almost pushed us entirely out of the city. They've taken over the city itself. There's dozens of them, far more, outnumbers us skillfully. So there are, okay, let's say there's dozens and dozens of them. So he's saying that they pushed them out. They've been hiding out in alleyways and homes, etc. Haven't been exactly left the city entirely. So guards believe the four are innocent. They've been Royal Guards pushed, let's say, took over city. Okay. So now Red inquires, "So what has happened to all of you? What are you doing here in this shrine?" And they say, "Well, as you can see, we have no leader. We've been acting as a team, doing what we can, trying to stay away from the Royal Guard. At the same time, trying to set up command posts throughout the city. We're planning to revolt, strike back when we can, take back what is ours. We believe that Lord Bathazar himself is being held hostage by the commander." So, which the city guard are preparing to strike back because they know the commander is corrupt at this point, which is only more evident for his dark deeds. They believe Lord Bathazar is held hostage. Okay, so let's cut away from Red. Let's put a little line here. Now, I won't be able to do a long episode for this one, so it might be like 30, 40 minutes. But now we're back to Ellis and Jules, kind of the unlikely combo, because they typically are not side by side. So, Ellis and Jules. I do like where this is going, especially with Red. Now, Ellis and Jules are discussing with Waverly, filling him in what's been happening. He's a little buzzed. He's not as drunk as he was earlier. Maybe he took a rest or something. Waverly sits down and says, What's been going on out there? Why did the Royals Guard run by my house? They chasing you both?" And they tell the captain, they tell Waverly. Ellis leans forward on his table. "Waverly, do you have any idea what has happened? What's been happening, transpired the past half a day?" And Waverly says, "No, I've been home this entire time, drinking." And then Jules is going to sit down. He says, "You will not believe what we've experienced. Your own kind have turned against us." Because here's the thing. Jules and Ellis don't know the city guard. They might have ideas, but they don't know in general, they don't know for sure if the city guard are after them or not. They know the royal guard is. So here's what he's saying: Waverly, your own kind are looking for us. We've been set up. The current captain, Captain Aetherian, supposedly has been killed. We believe that this is true, is at the hands of Commander Fisk. And our friends have been, well, they're out there somewhere. Ellis then enters the conversation. He says, "Waverly, you have to listen," because Waverly's kind of just watching. He's kind of listening. He's not really talking. He's trying to focus. So Waverly, listen. Commander Fisk tricked us. He gave us some strange, dark, magical book that caused my friend, our close friend, ally, Clovis, to be possessed by some strange force. He tricked us, and he's gone. He's vanished, and we don't know what happened to him. And now, Red, he's somewhere out there in the city, alone, and it's just us. We're fugitives. We're on the run. The royal guard is corrupt. There's something happening beneath beneath the castle. And when he says beneath the castle, Captain Waverly says, beneath? You mean the dungeon? The prison? And then Ellis and Red look at each other. Prison? Yes, we know there's a dungeon beneath, but we wonder where it was a prison. Waverly says he mentions the rumor. Says yes, it's been rumored that that's been a prison for thousands of years, or for hundreds of years, since the construction of the castle. But only Commander Fisk himself has had access to that. They're below. If you say, I might be talking a little too much out of character here, but Waverly is basically saying, if you say what's true, then the captain must have been some kind of pawn in all of this. I knew Commander Fisk was self-righteous in his own way, and he was very quite strange to himself, but to think that he betrayed you for everything you've done for us. I know he's had difficulties with you before. And then that's where Ellis says, yes, but we spoke with him before. We were granted permission to enter the dungeon to talk to him regarding the Darkain incident. That matter still remains unsolved. We don't know what has transpired since then, but he was treating us like one of you, like one of the guards. We were about to set off on a mission to find Darkain, but then it was obviously a ploy. We were tricked. We don't know what to do. Waverly leans back, thinking what could be done. Jules is speechless. He's not too sure what to say. He says, how can we match a royal guard? They are well equipped, far greater numbers compared to us or at this moment, us too. Waverly agrees. He says, yes, the royal guard are a select of extremely talented individuals and trained for years. Only I, or even my fellow city guards, have dreamt of being in such a position of power and respect. So let's play catch up. What's going on here? Waverly believes them based on the recap of what happened. Now they're trying to figure out what to do. Waverly says, well, does Waverly have, let's draw a card. What is Waverly going to say next? Vizier. I think, judging by this card, a Vizier, if I'm pronouncing that right, within 1 year of drawing this card, you can ask a question in meditation and receive a truthful answer that helps solve a problem. This is perfect. So Waverly has a solution for us, and here it is. The solution is going to be holy. I'm thinking, I'm gonna put this card back 'cause I don't. I'm trying to get ideas. Merge a vault. Something beneath. Here. Oh, you know what? Here it is. Waver recalls. You know what? When you were downstairs, did you see beneath the castle? Did you see any doors? And Ellis and Jules recollect for a moment. They do recall seeing a few doors, entries inside inside the study where Commander Fisk's desk was. He says, "Yes, there were a few doorways." He says, "Well, I've never experienced it myself, but after speaking to the locals for quite some time as a captain, this captain for like what, a few weeks, he says there have been rumors of tunnels underneath the city, which is possibly because this city is, well, hundreds of years old. You might be able to find an entry point and make your way to beneath the castle to get to Fisk, or even to get to the castle itself." And Jules and Ellis are like, "That's a brilliant idea. That's genius." So, potential tunnels, like a subway, paths underneath the city. And while they're speaking, suddenly, more royal guards run by. Now, do these royal guards stop, knowing that this is the captain's house? Let's see, 50-50. They don't. Okay, got lucky there. They run by. So the royal guard, or the search party, they're looking. So, and then so Ellis and Jules look back at the windows. Maybe there is shades or cover. It's closed. They see shadows of bodies run by, and like the stomping of the boots. They hear shouting, "Quickly over here!" And Waverly stands up. He says, "You have to make haste, my friends. It's not long before they start looking door to door." And then Ellis says, "Well, where can we go? Where's a possible tunnel?" And that's where he says, you can try the Shine just north of here, about 3 or 4 blocks to the right. You might find something there." So that's the shrine that Red is currently at. So Waverly mentions the shrine. They said it's a holy place, but if I'm not mistaken, there might be something in there that you're looking for. Perhaps an entrance to the underground tunnels. And Ellis thinking, "Oh, that's fairly convenient. A shrine, a holy place, might be like there might be a safe passage out of there, probably for prior owners. So that's potential." So mentions the shrine. Okay, let's add that to our locations within Riverport in general, because Riverport's an area. These are locations. For right now, it's just called a shrine. We don't know the name yet. I'll put little quotations here. Okay, so that is going to be. I gotta close my night out here. That's all I can do. But this was actually a fairly good episode. Pretty short. I do apologize, but actually some good world building here. So, Red saw the cat. It was a phoenix. That was interesting. He got away. Followed some city guards. They took him to a shrine, and then Red was almost spotted by a civilian. Again, with him to the shrine. The royal guards are taking over the city. City guards have been pushed away, not necessarily kicked out, but pushed off the side. Ellis and Jules are chatting with Waverly, and they concluded that they need to go to this shrine. That might be a good place to start. I think that's just one like really unique spot that Waverly thought of the top of his head, because he knows the city well enough to think that certain areas are the oldest areas, and if they're the oldest areas, then they might have some kind of unique trait to explore. So that's all I'm going to do for this episode, guys. As far as I'm sorry we couldn't do any combat. I'm hoping perhaps, or I should say threats. I'm hoping in the next episode or two we might be able to play out this threat process. I did do this in the previous video, which was an update, but I don't know if I did this newest revision, which has to do with 2d6 that from summarize this entire turn, but both sides. It combines both turns, both sides into one turn per. Basically, rolling the dice for both sides. So, like I said, again, take a picture of this, pause the video, and you'll see what I mean. But in any event, I appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you next time. Which, let's write down what's going to happen in episode 15. Can't believe we're already halfway to 30. But episode 15, we know for a fact that Red and Ellis and Jules are going to go to the shrine. So let's do a star here. Ellis and Jules need to find the shrine. The old shrine, I'll call it that. And Red, well, Red, it's hard to say what Red is going to do next. If he's talking to the city guard, he needs to help them out. Red is going to arm the city guard, or help the city guard revolt, regain power. Because if he can get them on the Force side, then we can overpower. Oh, that'll be a huge fight. That's pretty much an army against an army. Regain power, control. Because again, we are allies of the city guard, so that's good. Okay, so that's it for the episode, guys. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.